So thank you again. Some of you already know this, and I moved some stuff around, but just to give you an update as far as who we are over the past few years. Again, we are the only business in the property management industry that is publicly traded. And so you guys, everybody can see all of this online, as well as our numbers and our books and our financials and our compliance and everything that goes along with that. Well, we are, North America's largest management organization with a special local touch in Southeast Florida. And our mission is to deliver exceptional service and solutions that enhance the value of your property, as well as the lifestyle of every resident in the communities we manage. So we're happy to support in those two high-level key objectives, and then to bring those down to the projects that you have going on at your property. And that's what we've heard. I went back to my file and my notes from 2017, and I looked at that last statement there, and it's maintaining that overall objective is really to control costs of Parliament Towers and make sure that your budget doesn't get out of control, or certainly not more than what the market is, and hopefully we're beating it a little bit, and then to enhance values. And I think we're going to go through some slides that hopefully demonstrate that and support that. So if you look at our presentation from back then and our proposal document, you'll see there's more blue on this screen than there was back then, and you'll see that we do continue to grow as an organization, and certainly we can't grow and be successful without obviously continuing our relationship with our current clients like you guys. So high-level business objective, that is something that's totally different with us and anyone else in the market. So I'll jump now into key objectives for Parliament Towers. Some of these, the board members that were in attendance last week saw these, and we discussed these, and you might notice that that's changed just a little bit from last week to now. Just put right on the top. I think something that came out, and I know, Randy and Turner and I have discussed since then, we've already taken some small steps, and we're going to continue this. But unit owner and resident relationships, communication with an exclamation point. What are the services that we're providing? How can we improve on those services? And we heard a lot about, basic blocking and tackling services every day in the office, or the ability to get an estoppel, right, to if someone is going to sell their unit or someone's going to buy their unit, and resident service options as well. So what we're thinking about now and working through that is that we want to figure out better ways to engage the membership in the building, specifically the unit owners, but not just the unit owners, every resident in the building, to continue to demonstrate just kind and friendly and genuine customer service, whether that be online in your community website, whether that be through our customer care center, which is also located in Broward County, not too far away from you guys, whether that be in Fani's office with her team, very, very busy place, as we all just saw and will continue to see, and or if anything needs to get elevated. And one of the things that we went through is that, a couple thousand calls that never had to go through Fani's office that were handled in our care center immediately. And anything that can't be handled in our care center will be elevated to, and is elevated already to Randy, to Turner, to Fani as needed. So we want to get that communication out there. We want to reinforce and remind your membership that one of the things that you bought was more communication. Another thing that you bought that we heard in 2017 and that I heard last week, the same, resident services. The board is doing a lot of work. They're hearing a lot of feedback and communication from the residents. And I believe, based on the numbers and the real data that we have, we've helped with that tremendously over the past few years. But I think that we're going to continue, and it was agreed to continue to take that to the next level so that every board member can enjoy the services and enjoy the building and enjoy their home, focus on that vision I talked about, where are we going over the next 12 months in your building, and just allow us to take care of all that daily blocking and tackling. And what do we need to do to improve that communication to all of your residents and that service to all of your residents? Next, moving on to more concrete projects. A lot of them you went through today. So just to update these, the elevator cab and the mechanical refurbishment. And I know that, you know, you guys were successful and we supported you in achieving your vote to do so. Great. That's going to make a big difference in the lobby and in the building. Your pipelining project. And by the way, I'll notice as well that it's clear we do more buildings like yours, and I work on a bigger market than Turner and Randy, who are local to you, and I am too, but I get to see more in my function. I will tell you that buildings just like yours having their 50th birthday party, these are not unusual things. When we got to the building, we noticed a whole lot of deferred maintenance. The building was in trouble, and there were system failures every day. And I think that we've done a lot of heavy lifting, and we'll talk through some of those details over the last 3 years. It's been a lot of work, but it's been our pleasure. And to give you that perspective, I feel like today you've gotten over that hump, and you've gotten through the transition of the first management company ever in the building, which we're so proud to be. And now you're getting to a point where, okay, you're really moving forward and getting ahead now and getting ahead of your projects. And I see that very clearly, even just on today's call. I mean, you're looking at aesthetics and enhancements and improvements in the lobby, as well as ELSS, as well as other infrastructure projects. So when you talk about the elevators, when you talk about the pipelining project, you talked about the access control and fob, that's all technology. But those are projects that absolutely every single building will have. They usually start around 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, and so on and so forth. So I'm just happy to see that a lot of major items, you know, again, I'm not candidly taking credit, and I'm not giving all the credit to Fonnie and Randy and Turner and Pamela and everybody that's worked there. I want to recognize the board for their support and the work you've put into this. So I'm not at all discounting that, but I do want to give you that perspective where I sit looking at the building, looking at Parliament Towers. You've done so much, you've come so far. And now it's time, and I'm going to keep pounding this today. The number one thing I want you all to take from this is that it's time to go to the next level. And your board made that so clear to us last week. What are we going to do to get Parliament Towers to the next level? These projects and key objectives is your plan. These are the things we're focused on and working to support you on for your decisions. Your fire alarm, we talked about the ELSS. That's also going to integrate with your fob project and enhance technology in the building. Again, standing ovation, going in the right direction. Your cable contract renewal, we've already reviewed that. We've got a lot of value, real cash value for your building that we're going to talk about. Certainly, if we're retained, if we're not, then it wouldn't be there. But if we are, we look forward to giving you all our national agreement with Comcast and that platform for negotiating. And then, of course, the board can take that and negotiate more, right? You're very active. I can see that. You're very engaged in the contracts and all of that. So that has already been worked on by Chris Normando, and we have some information.
Hey, you only have a deal with Comcast. That's your exclusive one.
Yeah, Stuart, great question on that. So you're not, of course, relegated to Comcast. We only have a national deal with Comcast, and it's preferred pricing and services. So you'll have two things in your building that will happen through this process. You're going to receive additional services that you don't have today. We also have the numbers as far as which units, how many units in your building take advantage of things like broadband or not, or added channels or not. As you know, that's on a unit by unit basis. A lot of that will automatically be included for the entire building. There's a cashback model in there, and then there's, of course, your standard unit charges in there, and we'll get all that cleaned up. But I think the key is, and we also went through this specifically with your insurance over the last couple of years, you'll have that platform. That doesn't mean you have to go with Comcast, and of course the board makes the final decision, but we can bring in AT&T. We can bring in Hotwire. We can bring in whoever else is able to serve the building at your direction and say, hey, beat this. And that's really the value. The value is, hey, here's a great deal. It's already better than what you have in every way, but it's our job as the largest management company in North America, nobody else does this. They can't do it to make a deal, a national deal with another nationally publicly traded company to say to the board, okay, here you go, great deal. You are already ahead, celebration time, and take that and let's leverage that if you'd like to go to bid. So Stuart, that's right. That's a good point in all of this. Our job is to give you the tools to be more successful than you were yesterday and to make the building a better place to live. And certainly cable and internet's a big deal today and moving forward to lifestyles and values in the building. So yes, that's moving forward. You talked about your, your front desk expansion and that project, which is also moving forward. And last week we had Jeff Edelstein on the call. We have done residential hospitality training at your building with all of the staff. And we committed last week again to updating that and reinforcing that. We've done a lot of that online with your staff already with regard to your COVID protocols. And that's a specific training, and we're going to continue to do that to enhance that. There's just to give you all a specific, what does that mean? So a very specific example is if we have training now, literally we're talking about how do we smile at a resident or a guest when they arrive and welcome them home with a mask on? How do you do that? So, literally that's what some of the things that we're talking about in our front desk team. And we have a dedicated team that does that. So at Fonny's, to support Fonny and Randy in the building and all of your staff and team, that's what we're going to be focusing on there. So that the service level will be there and be better, and that should, be in alignment with what you're approving as far as the front desk project and the physical expansion that you're doing. The stairwell pressurization, obviously, also part of the ELSS, and we talked about some of the leaking as well. That's being looked at. We've done a lot of work at different properties with Bromley and your professionals over the years, and so you're moving forward on that. But these are key things that we need to continue to do the work for you all on and do, some of that heavy lifting in the office, bids, working with Bromley, your contractors, etc. Roof replacement was a big one that came up in your building. It's a big roof. I've been on your roof. In the beginning, we had a lot of big problems up there, especially with the hurricane and that was actually before we started, but with your HVAC system, and there were a lot of big problems up there. So now that we've got that cleaned up, I'm going to show you pictures of that next. It's time to look at, which is very normal and typical, what kind of roof system do you want moving forward? What will the cost be? Start to plan that out and look at that, because I do believe that needs to be assessed as a recommendation in conjunction with the stairwells, so that you're not fixing something only to damage it because there's a leak on the roof, or vice versa, right? So really looking at that holistically, that's just going to save you a lot of money and time and effort if we take that type of approach. So that's your stairwells and your roof replacement. Your pool deck pavers, that's been talked about as well. We may need to look at that, as well as the expansion joints and how that system, it's literally a system, works together. We've done a lot of those types of projects. I will tell you, they're a lot more complicated than they sound, but that's on the list. The asphalt paving, that's an aesthetic thing, but also a functional thing. That's been mentioned by some of your board members. We want to look at that as well. And then, of course, the 50-year certification. It's happy birthday time, just to stay compliant. A lot of what you have done over the last 3 years, and a lot of what you're planning now, are all going to integrate, and all of that's going to come together in a 50-year certification. So, I will tell you, we had that conversation in 2017, and we said one of the things that we want to do, I think you were just wrapping up, if I'm not correct, that your 40-year certification. What we said is, good grief, we're almost at the 50-year now. And all this stuff you all want to do in the building, let's wrap this all up and have it culminate in a successful, timely, get the 50-year certification done, wrapped up behind us, and we're on to more projects in the building. So I was very, very happy to see that actually coming to fruition. It wasn't just speak, but again, it was delivered by large part, and it was a lot of work and support from the board as well. Here are some of the pictures. It is all about accountability. We provided these reports to your board, of course. They have these. We just pulled out a few when Randy Turner and I were preparing for the session today. But this is something that a lot of the membership, the board's seen this, they understand, prior board and this board. A lot of the membership may or may not have seen this. And so just to walk through quickly, these are your elevators. This is your mechanical equipment. And what you're looking at on the left is when we got there. You can see a quart of oil sitting next to that elevator machinery. By the way, each one of those machines is at least $250,000. We're talking about big money for your building.